Oh, I thought we are still dancing. My fault. What up? What up? We're back.
Man, weird, man.
Let's get it. We got my man, Forte. Decent shooter. Decent shooter. You know what I mean? So before we even get to St. Louis, we got to talk about the tweet of the summer. All right? Got to talk about it. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Which tweet?
The tweet that Coach Underwood put out.
Oh, he heard from me on that. Trust me. He was quick to get a text from me, and the best part about it was the group chat between me, him, and Tyler, his son. That was the best part behind the scenes. But
so the tweet,
it took, once I saw it, it took about 30 seconds for me to pull my phone out and send him a text.
So the context for those that didn't see it, there was a tweet by Brad Underwood that said that this person on his team now, I believe it was Yoli he's talking about. Who's he talking about here?
I think it might.
Yeah, it was one of the he had a transfer come in.
It was Plummer, the kid from
Plummer.
It was, yeah.
It was Plummer. Yes, it was Plummer. He said he's like best shooter he's seen or best shooter he's coached.
Yeah. So
I
think it was coached. I think it was coached.
I think it was coached. I think it was
coached.
I think it was coached, and that kind of hit a point for Phil. So go ahead and talk about it real quick before we get to St. Louis. Just talk about it real quick.
Oh, he got a text from me really quick after I saw that tweet, but I definitely felt some type of way about that. And the best part was, I can't say to the complete extent what went on in the group chat between me, him, and Tyler Underwood, but that whole day was pure comedy in our group chat. But I did. I was kind of hurt by that.
You had to set him straight.
I had to let him know pretty quick.
I will say I was at Illinois on Saturday. I watched Fonzo Plummer and talking to Tyler Underwood pregame, and tell you what, man, Fonzo Plummer can shoot the ball. I don't know if he can shoot it like Phil Forte, but that kid can shoot the ball. So,
man, I haven't seen him. I haven't really had the chance to watch Illinois play a whole lot. But that's just me. I didn't do a lot of things well, but I did shoot the ball well. So I take a lot of pride in that. Maybe couldn't guard a soul, but I'd sit in the corner and make some shots.
So speaking of making shots, your leading scorer on this year's team, have you given him any tidbits? As he watch your old videos? You have a guy on your team that's a shooter similar to you. Let's talk about him for a little bit before we get to the rest of the team and why I see the player of the week.
Yeah, Gibson, Jimerson. The thing about him is his work ethic is unbelievable. He's in the gym every day, 6 a.m. Reminds me a lot of myself. Has a very strict regimen on what he does. And the good thing is a lot of the stuff we ran when I played for Coach Ford. And so when he comes in, we watch film. It just happens to be I'll show him a lot of the things that I did when I was in his shoes, because now he's going from a guy who was kind of a spot up guy on the perimeter. Now we're leading scorer, and now you're getting face guarded. Teams are trying to deny you. They're not helping. That's kind of frustrating for the first time that you have to go through that. And so just trying to help him out through that process, because your first time you go through it, it is difficult. But it also helps you play with a point guard like Yuri Collins. So those two complement each other pretty well.
No doubt. Kev?
Yeah, you take me through, obviously, losing Javonte Perkins in the run up to the season was devastating, and just like it sucked for college basketball. It sucked for him as a guy who came back and wanted to use his fifth year. But you guys had to adjust a lot of what you do because so much of your offense was built around getting him shots. Like, take me through the days after losing him and what the process was like to figure out how you guys were going to change things to still be successful like you've been so far this season.
Yeah, Kevin, it is because Javonte was a guy who was probably going to average 20 points a game this year. And so when you lose that, you kind of have to tweak some things and reinvent yourself a little bit. Because for us, we had a lot of guys who returned and who had been here, but maybe didn't have the role they do now. And so trying to figure out their new role when you lose a guy who's going to average 20 points a game. And, it does help when you have a point guard like Yuri, who obviously everyone sees the points, the 19 assists, but just his presence on the floor and making everybody else better. And so we've had some other guys step up too, and it's a process. I mean, we're just trying to get better every game, every week, and our schedule has been extremely brutal, and it doesn't get any easier this Saturday when we play Auburn. But just kind of been a day-by-day thing and just trying to, kind of find our new identity. We kind of had to do that, and it did happen early enough in the season to where it gives us some time to kind of figure that out. But our guys have stepped up. They've accepted the challenge and just try to take it, day by day the best we can.
So we got the mid-major player of the week, Yuri Collins, 7-7, 14 points, 19 assists. Talk about not only him as a person and player, but talk about that performance. Like, again, we talked about it earlier, I think, on the show. Like, we played a lot of ball and watched a lot of ball. Well, Kevin hasn't played a lot of ball. He has in the rec center, though. I shouldn't say that.
Come on.
That's where the real hoopers are at. So
yeah, that's where the real hoopers are for the moment. We'll say that. But 19 assists doesn't happen very often in an NBA game, let alone a college game. And we know, me and you talked about this earlier, 19 assists is probably one more than your entire college and high school career.
Might be more than one more. Yeah.
It's like 10 more.
Yeah. No, it's thing with Yuri is, he lives it, loves it, breathes it every day. He watches film every day. He comes in, watches extra film on who we're playing or the games that we played or practice. He's in the gym every day, working on his game. And so it doesn't surprise me, that the game that he had, everyone sees the one game, but that was, a whole off season of work for that one moment. And he makes it look easy, the 19 assists. I know it sounds crazy, but he just made the right play every time. And yeah, he had 19 assists, but he also only had 2 turnovers because he just let it come and took what the defense gave him. And, I've played with 2 guys that got drafted, Marcus, obviously, and Jawan. And he's right up there with them. I think he's one of the best pure point guards in the country and that I've ever been around. And I know I said it a little bit earlier, not just the points, the assists, but just his presence on the floor is what makes him so special for us. And when he's on the floor, it's contagious. His confidence and his play and his awareness, it all rubs off on everybody else. And everything that's happened to him so far, he's deserved because he's worked his butt off in the offseason for it.
All right, so I'm going to let you introduce him. We're going to bring him in. The mid-major player of the week, Phil Forte is about to introduce.
The St. Louis hometown kid. YC, where you at?
Boom, there he is. Let's go.
Hey, I will say, here's the thing with YC though. So I was a GA at St. Louis for 2 years. Left, came back. So I was here when Yuri was coming on his visit. So I was never a GA when he played here. When I was a GA, I had to run scout team. So I've run scout team, the last 2 years. And he's very lucky he didn't have to guard me on scout team. He is. He's pretty lucky he missed. I was just out of my prime. Back then. So he did just miss out on that.
YC, what would that have looked like in real life?
Terrible. He wouldn't have got a shot up, wouldn't be able to bounce the ball or nothing, anything. And he knows he can guard me.
There's a thing called YouTube, bro. You need to go look it up. There's a thing called YouTube.
We're gonna let Phil bounce out of here. Kevin, you got anything else for Phil?
Nah, man. Let's get to the real star of the show. No offense, Phil.
That's right. All right, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, YC. What's good, my man? St. Louis finest. You're back home, leading the troops. You lost one of your best players on the team. How has this team been able to rally the way it has to this hot start? 8-2. You beat some really good teams. Obviously, you're mid-major player of the week. That's why you're here. You just had a big-time game. But what is it about this team, and how have you guys been able to rally despite losing one of your best players?
Losing Javonte was a big piece. But at the end of the day, we talked about it. It wasn't just about Javonte. We still had the same goals and all the same things we wanted to do with Javonte. So with him leaving, things didn't change. It just introduced us, and we knew like other players have to step up in a different position.
Right.
Okay, so take me through 19 assists in a game. How cognizant of it were you throughout the game? Like what your number was at? Did you have any idea that you were just kind of putting up this crazy assist game, or was it? Did someone like tell you with like 5 minutes left, like holy shit, like you've got 19 assists, you got 17 assists, whatever?
No, I really didn't know. I always try to check my turnovers throughout the game, throughout media timeouts, see how many turnovers I got. And during one of the media timeouts, one of my coaches, he told me I had 2 turnovers, and then he added, and you got 8 assists. So when he told me that, I heard it, but it didn't really like click. I'm like, okay, I was in the middle of the game, and then the second half came, and I mean things were still going, and I think it was the 4 minute media mark, and Fred had came behind me in the media timeout. He was like, bro, you got 17 assists, and I mean I was locked in at the time, and I ain't like really. I'm like, all right, bro. So then I ended up going out after the media. I got another assist, and they showed on the jumbo screen or whatever. Like Yuri Collins has tied the record, and I was like, whoa, like at that moment. Then that's when it hit, and it really hit because Jay Nez, he was all in my face, like, bro, you like, do you know what you just did? He just couldn't believe it. Like he was talking about it for that last 4 minutes, and then coach had ended up bring us over or whatever, and he was telling the guys, shoot the ball, let Gary to break this assist record. So I mean, yeah, it was a nice moment.
Did you hunt a 20th? Were you shooting for 20?
No, not really, but now that I think about it, 20 would have been good. But I wasn't hunting 20. I was really hunting. I was hunting 19.
19's got a good ring to it, though. 19's got a good
Yeah,
ring to it. What's your career high in assists? Is this the highest assist total you've ever had?
yeah, 19 is it. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good high to have. Now, is there
yeah.
a player that you study at the next level, or even at the college level, growing up? Is there a guy that you grew up watching that you study that you kind of look to emulate, or is it just all kind of come from just playing and organic?
Yeah, it really all came from just playing the game of basketball. Since I was young, I was playing 2, 3 grades up, so I was always the lookout on the court. So it was always how I'm gonna be effective on the court, how I'm gonna make plays, and I don't know, with me being so little, I couldn't always get my shot off. I couldn't always get to the hole. So making those passes and seeing the next play, stuff like that, is how it developed. And I mean, growing up, I was watching a lot of Dwayne Wade, and Dwayne Wade, he's not a passer like me, but that was just a guy that I like to watch. But then as I got older and started to look at guys who played a little bit similar to my game, I was watching some Chris Paul, some Rondo, Jason Williams. I was watching some Magic Johnson, all those guys who passed the ball real good. But like right now, I'm watching a lot of Chris Paul because I feel like I can take on his game in many different ways.
It's a great one to watch.
One thing that Chris Paul does well that people don't always talk about is defense, and I think your defense is a huge part of your game. I think something that you were really known for last year was your ability to get stops on that end of the floor. Talk about the pride you take in getting stops and getting down in the stance on defense, and what it means for you, and especially kind of the St. Louis program under Coach Forte. I know it's kind of a thing that's always been emphasized, how tough you guys are, how physical you guys are. Talk about the defensive end and how much pride you take in it.
Yeah, for me, it's just a pride thing. I don't like being scored on. Like I just don't like that feeling. Um, some people don't really care if they get scored on. They feel like, all right, I'm gonna just go get another bucket. But for me, it's like I'm gonna get this stop. Like I want this stop, and I mean that's just the mentality I got. And then with playing under a coach like Coach Ford, he take pride in defense as well. So that does nothing but push me even harder to want to play defense.
I know Javante has been a big leader for you guys even after he went down with the injury. But on the court, what has your leadership role evolved into now that you're one of the veteran guys who's out there and the point guard and the guy who needs to lead the team? Can you talk about that and also what Javante's done off the court for you guys?
Yeah, with Javante being hurt, I had to step up in a big way. Um, I'm like a Coach Ford on the court. Man, I'm doing a lot of things I wasn't doing my freshman or sophomore year. I got to make sure everything is going right, everything is flowing right. I got to keep my guys under control. I got to make sure when things are going bad, I keep guys' head right, and all the little stuff. I mean, it's stuff some people don't see that I have to make sure that my teammates are on top of. But besides that, Javante, with him being hurt and really not being able to play and practice with us, he's been good for us outside the court. He's always around in the locker room and practice. He texts in a group chat when we on the road and stuff. I mean, Javonte, he a good dude. So I mean, he gonna always bring positive energy no matter what.
Yuri, we're almost done with the interview. We always like to ask about a funny story. So if you got one on Phil, you can always tell that, or Coach Tate, because he's been on the show too. But Coach Ford, you can tell one about being in the Lou, and you forgot to put like 10 people on the pass list because you got so many people trying to come to the game and come watch you play. Anything funny that you have that just shows a little different side of what goes on either behind the scenes at St. Louis or in your world. I know I'm putting you on the spot with that one. I know I'm putting you on the spot. You can't tell everything in the group chat either because the group chat can get a little,
Yeah. Actually, I can go ahead and give you one on Coach Tate. This just happened right before the Boston College game. We normally watch Out of Bounds and stuff plays before we go to dinner or whatever the day before the game after practice. So we all go in the locker room and we waiting on Coach Tate to come in. And he's like late behind all the other assistant coaches and players. So he come in and we ready to watch film and he just start talking and like Coach Tate funny, like he just a funny dude, like everything, like
no doubt.
That dude funny. So we in there and he tell our film guy Brad, he like, hey Brad, man, drop this. So we looking like drop this, like we in a music video or something. But he talking about drop the film. So Brad started playing it. He say, man, Brad, cut this off. He like, man, we ain't about none of these X's and O's and da-da-da. Like, if y'all want to win the game, y'all gonna come out here and play. So it was just a funny moment at the time because he talking about drop this, and we all in the locker room looking like, man, what are you talking about? Like, but yeah, Coach Tate, man, he make us laugh every day. He a good dude to be around. He funny for sure, and he don't even know he's funny sometimes, but he a funny dude.
He just got it. He got it. Associate head coach Corey Tate, one of the best former JUCO head coach. We love Coach Tate over here. He's a friend of the All Access, friend of mine. But yeah, man, thanks again, Yuri, for coming on, taking the time. We know you got plenty of stuff to do with books and basketball. We know you had an exam earlier today. How did that go, by the way?
Real good.
Good. Yeah, appreciate you putting books first. We were going to try to get you on earlier. You took care of your books. We respect it, man. We're rooting for you. Keep up the great work, and you putting St. Louis, your hometown city, and the program on the map, and keep up the great work, man.
For sure. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man.
Yep.
All right, mid-major player of the week, along with assistant coach Phil Forte. We always love to have Kev break it down.
I still would love to watch Phil Forte versus Yuri Collins. I don't know how we got to set this up. I know it's not as allowed anymore with the 5-on-5 and the scout because he's assistant coach. But man, we need to have him we had to do like a 1-on-1 over the summer or something. I mean,
we can make it happen. We can
make it stream it live. But no, good for him, man. He's been special. Yuri has stepped up in a big way in a time of need for this program with Javonte out, and that's big time. And also shout out to Phil. I mean, I know we talked about this over the summer, but obviously Forte who's on staff there, tragically lost his life pretty suddenly. He's a young guy. He's a guy I knew a little bit, had a great deal of respect for, just a guy who you could tell was a special guy in this business. And him and Forte were walk-ons together, or not walk-ons. Forte was not a walk-on. He was a bucket. But those dudes were teammates together at Oklahoma State.
Yep. Came
up in the profession together, and it is very cool that Phil got to take Forte's spot on staff and carrying on the legacy. I know he's missed every day. He was Travis Ford's nephew, so obviously very near and dear to the hearts of that program for a number of reasons. But thinking of the family there always, because that was a kind of incomprehensible loss so early. It was a lot of losses in the basketball community, and Lou Hill and Anthony Stewart and all those guys who were very impactful. But Forte was a guy who was special, and we'll miss him and miss him every day. And hopefully, I'm glad that Phil Forte gets to be the guy that carries on in his legacy at St. Louis. So just wanted to put that out there as well.
Yeah, well said. Me and Phil talked about it earlier and meant to bring it up when he was on, but probably better to do it this way. teammate, almost like a best friend to Phil.
I think they lived together in St. Louis.
Yeah,
I think they lived together when he was a GA.
When he was a GA. I know he got close. They got closer in a different way from playing together professionally, and he got close with his family. And Phil was able to kind of step in and still support as a uncle, so to speak, to his wife and to the little ones there. So I'm just I think you said it best. I don't want to say too much, but Phil was the perfect guy to replace someone that's irreplaceable, but at least to be able to represent that legacy and represent that bond and that friendship. And it's only right. So glad Phil's there. And Travis Ford, tough loss for him to be able to lose a family member like that. So to be able to bring in another one and Phil, a former player, only seemed right. So magic there for sure. And this team is playing with magic, man. I got to give them credit. Again, you lose your best player. I don't care what team you're on. I don't care what level. If you're junior high, high school, the Pee Wee League, NBA, you lose your best player. It's hard to keep it going. For this team to play as inspired as they have says a lot about the leadership of Travis Ford and staff and a lot about the character of these players. So look forward to keep watching St. Louis doing big things this year. A-10 is a tough league. We talked about it earlier, but they are at the top, and I believe they'll keep fighting their way in, mainly because of their ability to defend, and they bought it on that end. So salute to the ability.
And they have a decent point guard too, so that helps.
They do, and they got Phil Forte 2.3 or something, 1.9. Oh man, that's when you know it's late. That's when you know it's time to go. It's been fun. Sweeney, you know where to catch them. You know where to find these episodes: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, any of your favorite podcast locations. And we'll be back next week. More Sweeney 7 and more guests. We out.